Matthew Stafford, Verse and the Los Angeles Rams host Sam Darnold, Nick Emmanwori, and the Seattle Seahawks in a massive NFC West showdown. Both of these teams come into this game with 7-2 records. For all intents and purposes, the best team in the NFC West will be known after this game it finishes up. We're talking about two bona fide Super Bowl contenders. This is going to be an absolute blast to break down. You have to start with the defenses for both of these two teams. I love watching defense, have my entire life, and both of these two teams make me so excited to talk about, guys. Let's start with a player in Nick Emmanwori. We mentioned him in the opener. He wasn't on the field all that much to start the season. But once he's been available, once he's been fully healthy, you just can't now go without having Nick Emmanwori on the field as a starter. Are you kidding me? 4 PBUs against the Arizona Cardinals. 4 PBUs. This man was all over the field. He's so multiple in what he can do. Lining up in center field, in the deep middle, coming up and playing slot corner, being able to be on the line of scrimmage. I mean, he's such a Cam Chancellor, Earl Thomas type hybrid guy. He's got that athleticism that's off the charts. He's a problem for Matthew Stafford and the Los Angeles Rams from the get-go. I immediately think in this game about key players. Of course, you have to. A guy for Los Angeles, I also talked about him in the opener, Verse, but for the Rams more so, I think it's Nate Landman. Another punch-out forced fumble that wound up being really big for the Rams in this game. It took points off the board for San Francisco in the first half. He almost had another one of those, having Fred Warner in the building, probably having somewhat of a smile, even though seeing his team down. But that's a guy in Fred Warner that does it very well. I think these are the two key players on the defensive side of the football. Offensively, that stuff's easy. I mean, it's Nacua, it's Jaxon Smith-Njigba. These wide receivers are probably, they're without a doubt top 5. There's an argument for either of them being the best wideout in the league. Some people will have a problem with that, with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson in there. I don't care. You tell me JSN or Puka's number 1. You say JSN's number 1. I'm not going to disagree with you. What I'm going to disagree with was that hit on JSN. I was ready to square up almost seeing my man Jaxon Smith-Njigba get hit like that. Thankfully, he's somewhat okay. He's going to be fine going into this game against the Rams, most likely. Again, I love games when teams have balance, when they can play some great defense and get after the quarterback the way the Seattle Seahawks do. The second most sacks in the NFL. Or if it weren't for the Broncos having a ridiculous historical type year getting after the quarterback, they'd be leading the league. So 32nd most sacks in the NFL. The Rams get after the quarterback really well too. They've got 27 sacks on the season. That's top 10. Byron Young, Kobe Turner, Verse. I mean, this front 7 is incredible, with Landman roaming around behind that. Braden Fisk has been really great at run stuffing there in the middle of this defense. Where I have to come up with, in the sense of the full prediction here, is that these defenses are going to struggle. You're looking at a Seattle team. All the talk is about Smith-Njigba, as well as now the addition of Rashid Shaheed, adding an element of a deep threat into this offense. He did only have 1 target and had 1 catch against Arizona. What type of factor is he against the Rams this week? Having Cooper Kupp in the lineup, obviously massive, 74 yards. Elijah Arroyo's been important, but to be honest, they didn't even really have to play all that well as an offense of the way that their defense showed up in this game. They had 5 sacks, 10 tackles for loss. This game was over in the first quarter when they got up 21-0. I felt like I was watching the Rose Bowl between Ohio State and Oregon in this game. It just felt like you had one team that was out of the class of the other one and just attacking. So for one of these two defenses to utterly slow down the other one, I have a tough time seeing either of these teams scoring less than 30 points. And I understand that they're great defenses. We're talking about probably, I'll say it with my chest, 2 of the best 5 defenses in the league. Seattle fans would be upset that I'm not putting them at number 1, but that would be disrespectful to what the Rams truly have on that side of the football. We haven't even talked about fully offense yet on that side. But I just got to say that we're going to get into offense here in a second. These are great defenses. Even if they're giving up 30 points, sometimes that's fine. If you only give up 31 and you're able to score 33, that's a great defensive performance because you do get key stops and moments. You could get a takeaway here or there, a strip sack on the quarterback, a big sack on a 3rd and 5 that forces a punt, holding a team to a field goal in the red zone. All of that goes into still coming up with an important defensive performance when you play offenses of this caliber. Now, the Rams, with this wide receiver duo of probably nothing better right now in the league than this duo. I know people talk about Chase and Higgins all the time, but Davante Adams and Nacua, this is on that level, if not higher. Adams, 6 catches, a touchdown and 80 yards. Nacua, 5 catches for 64. You balance that with Matthew Stafford, with the last 3 games he's played, 13 touchdowns, no interceptions. Set a record. There's no quarterback in NFL history that's had 3 straight games of 4 passing touchdowns or more with no interceptions. No one else has done that. No one's playing better football right now than Matthew Stafford. Overall on the season, 24 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. We're talking about a guy that's 37 years old that's truly playing the best football of his career. He's seeing it on another level. Another guy that's seeing it on another level has been Sam Darnold. Not quite fully against Arizona. The man's got to stop putting the football on the ground. Two fumbles didn't quite matter all that much, and when they happened, the interception as well. So 3 turnovers. I had a bit of a fun time looking at people like, oh, Sam Darnold, like he played so bad. Like, look, it didn't even really have much of an impact on that game. He could have been taken out of the game before halftime almost. There's just no way Arizona was going to score more than 30 points against the Seattle Seahawks defense. And then you start looking at the matchup. Davante Adams and Puka Nacua, they get so much attention, but really the Rams have played so much 13 personnel, 1 running back, 3 tight ends, with how many good tight ends that this team is able to put out there. And Davis Allen and Ferguson, Higbee, Parkinson, they truly have 4 utilizable tight ends that are guys that can be effective in any part of the field, any situation in the game. You have guys that are dangerous as blockers with the ball in their hands. They wouldn't be getting targets. They would not be getting the football. I'll say that emphatically if they were not blocking. No block, no rock in that offense for Sean McVay. So they're getting after it. Adams and Nacua, 2 very good blocking wide receivers. And what the Rams are doing right now makes it interesting against the Seattle Seahawks defense, because Seattle, they take the football away. I mean, they're 5th in the NFL interceptions. They've got 9 on the season, like I mentioned, 32 sacks on the year. What's a way to negate the impact of that pass rush? Well, it's the run game. And LA ran the football well against San Francisco, 125 yards, 4 yards a carry over than that. I believe that Stafford had a couple of runs like for negative yards that sort of impacted the average overall in that game. But this balance right now between Williams and Corum, built up with the game against Jacksonville and then New Orleans, stacking that together where these guys were a dynamic duo. And then Adams, when Nacua was out of the lineup, getting more touches, getting that 3 touchdown performance against Jacksonville, and that confidence now. He's like another player now at this level. He's back to his former self. And the fact that you got to go up against those guys, it's important that Seattle has a guy like Devon Witherspoon back in the lineup. I believe that there's true conversations now that truly need to be had about Devon Witherspoon being in the conversation to be the best cornerback in the NFL. People want to talk about Sauce Gardner, about Pat Surtain, of course, Derek Stingley. I'm going to separate Surtain there for a minute. He's just on another level, I think, than anybody. But by next year, a year after that, Witherspoon is that good. There's no matchup I've been more excited to watch than Devon Witherspoon versus Puka Nacua. Or frankly, Witherspoon go up against the savvy veteran, 6'3", 215-pound Davante Adams. I mean, seeing this guy cover, remember watching him at Illinois against, when I saw him play one time, and it was amazing. I mean, you're watching a top 5 NFL pick, an NFL player on a Saturday against a Northwestern team. It just frankly wasn't all that fair. That was, I think, that 2022 season for Illinois. Their defense was just spectacular, one of the best in the country. And then it's not just him, right? Reek Woolen. I mentioned Emmanwori and what his capabilities are. You're putting all this behind a front seven led by Leonard Williams and DeMarcus Lawrence that get after the quarterback. You're not forcing your defensive backs to cover all that often. I'm frankly giving all the examples here of how this game's going to be close. You see the Rams blowing out Seattle at home with Seattle's defense. You just see them being able to separate and put together a sequence in the second half of touchdown, the way that they did, or touchdown in the first half like they did against the 49ers. I could, but it's very tough for that matter. Or for Seattle to blow out LA against that offense and how they can march the football down the field and the way Stafford's playing right now, and then defensively how they can turn up the pass rush. It's simple to say. I think this is a one-score game. This is without a doubt a game of the year topic. I'm very excited to see the Seattle Seahawks legitimately be back to a defensive ability now with players that at any moment, a Kobe Bryant, a Tyrese Knight, a Josh Jobe, a guy that I truly, I can't tell you about Devon Witherspoon. I'm going to stop talking about this guy so positively because that could be an entire 25-minute video. I'll have to do that at some point. But seeing this, it just gets you giddy. It just fully gets you excited for this to happen. And you get to see number 21 go up against this team and him being fully healthy, what that adds. It was just amazing seeing the Seattle team play all that well without him being available for this program. I think that a score of 34-31 makes a lot of sense to where you do see some defense, stops, turnovers, 2 or 3 total takeaways in the game. What factor do special teams have in this one? You saw it this game where the Rams are going for it on fourth down because they don't trust their field goal units. Or they go for it on 4th and 2, up by 7 in the third quarter. It works out, and they pick it up. They wind up going up by 14, and that's sort of the game for LA there in that third. But if they don't pick up that fourth down, it could be going the other way for San Francisco, looking to tie that game in that third quarter. They did have a little bit of momentum, 14 unanswered points, but the Rams just had answers every time in the second half against them. So the special teams unit for the Rams that has struggled the entire season, they've got the thicker kicker now, trying to hold things under. They really didn't want to have to give this guy a field goal opportunity. They just had 6 touchdown drives. They were effective and very good in the red zone, so they didn't have to kick one. He was 6 of 6 on PATs. The Rams blocked an extra point, which kept it at an 8-point margin. So, dude, special teams have a factor in this one. It is at SoFi, so it's at home. That helps you. That's not at Lumen Field. The game at Lumen Field later on in the season, I think it's December 14th, if I'm not mistaken. I'm very confident that's the date. Thursday night football, right, at Lumen Field. Could we see some severe weather? Seattle Seahawks fans obviously will be looking for that in that game, but at SoFi Stadium, afternoon game, 1:05 kickoff. I mean, SoFi's got a roof over the top of it. You're not going to see any weather for this one. You saw all the flurries up in the north this past week, and that being a different type of environment at Levi Stadium, looking at not a single cloud. The closest cloud was probably in Cleveland for the Pacific, for the West out there. For the Rams, it's hard for me to fully see the Seattle defense covering this wide receiving core and Stafford playing at truly MVP level. You'd have to say Matthew Stafford is now, in my opinion, the front runner. Jonathan Taylor's done an unbelievable job this season. He's been fantastic. But Stafford, this has been a ridiculous quarterback season, leading his team. This is the type of game, though, that you just have to outplay Sam Darnold. You've got the experience. You've played in bigger games. You've performed at the highest level in the biggest moments. I truly am going to compare Matthew Stafford to Sam Darnold. Seattle fans are going to come up with every example of how good JSN is and how the Rams don't have a guy to cover him on third down. I'm very well aware. I'm a diehard Ohio State fan. I get that. I understand what JSN is. You don't have to talk to me about that. I know what this man is. 347 and 3 tubs at the Rose Bowl, 2021. But this Rams team with Stafford in big moments, I trust more than I do Sam Darnold with the football in big moments. In a big moment against Tampa Bay, they turn the football over, and the Buccaneers wind up kicking the game-winning field goal instead of the Seattle Seahawks kicking the game-winning field goal in that game. If this game is close at the end, I trust Stafford more than I do Sam. Now, to go into another factor of this one, there's a lot of more topic of conversation now about running back duos. Of course, Gibbs and Montgomery lead the way, but you're looking at a team here in Seattle with Zach Charbonnet. I'm calling him Zachariah. Zach Charbonnet, 83 yards in a tub against Arizona. Kenneth Walker, 14 for 67. They've got such balance between them. And then the Rams with Corum and Williams, what's a better duo? It's hard for me to pick one. I'd maybe slightly favor the Seattle guys in a better offensive line overall. Like, both of these offensive lines have been pretty dang good this season. These are 2 top 10 offenses, 2 top 10 defenses. That's exactly why they're both 7-2 and sitting there. Even if the loser of this game comes out, they will have a chance to get redemption in exactly a month to get payback in this game, put themselves in it. So no matter the results of this game, there's still a whole lot of football left to be played. Not to take anything away, this is the game of the year, in my opinion, to this point. You've seen great games like Buffalo, Baltimore earlier in the year. Seattle, Tampa was an awesome game. Enjoyed every moment of that one. The Eagles and Rams game, iconic craziness in that one, all LA, and then the Eagles come on in the second half, and then the Rams have the chance to kick a field goal, extend the lead. That gets blocked, and the game-winning kick also gets blocked. So all of that happens. This is the exact type of moment now for LA, where both of these two teams, I think, understand the importance of what the 1 seed will be. That's my key point here, is the tiebreaker is going to be huge. You're looking at Seattle, they've got a loss to SF. The Rams, they've got a loss to SF. What will happen later on in the year is that game most likely will decide who winds up winning the division. The Rams-Seattle game will decide the division. This game sort of sets the tone for the next month, because the Rams, I mean, they still have to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the week after this. They're still staring down a matchup with the Detroit Lions in just a couple of weeks. They've got them, they've got them the 14th, and then Seattle the 18th. So that's back-to-back games there. So everything will be out in front of them. I said emphatically the 14th, and I was wrong. It's actually the Lions on the 14th, Seattle on Thursday nights on the 18th. So I was flat out wrong about that one. I was like, I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that I actually was wrong about that. So I'm going to go with the Los Angeles Rams with the win in this game. 34-31. They pull it out. Riding with my guy, Matthew Stafford. I think JSN goes for $135, a touchdown or 2, and Puka Nacua combine and do well. There's sacks all over the place. Defensive backs making great plays, quarterbacks making throws, but in the end, it will be Matthew Stafford and the Rams victorious, because I believe that this team has what it takes in the larger stage. Now, they've got to find a way to protect Stafford and keep that run game balanced enough to just keep it away from Seattle, because of how dangerous that defense is. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe. If you don't like my prediction, look, it was very tough for me to predict this game. The games at LA doesn't really matter, not all that much. There's going to be a ton of Seattle fans at this one making it crazy loud. The Rams are going to have to go silent counts on third down, most likely. It's going to be different, though, than if the game were in Seattle, which we'll get at the end of the season in December in prime time. It's going to be all Seattle. So it is a slight advantage for the Rams compared to playing, obviously, at Seattle. So I think that is a decider of about 3 points for me, and then you take into account the veteran ability of Stafford. And I saw Sam Darnold in the summer. I should have I should have, with my chest, said if it comes down to a big moment and you're playing some of the best football of your life, that I'm going to take a quarterback to beat you. I'm sure he would have loved. I'm sure he'd have loved me saying that he's playing incredible football. He's leading one of the best teams in the league, and I still come out here and say that someone else does better. So I hope maybe he watches this, maybe he doesn't. I think either way, we're going to have a great game watching this one. If you enjoyed, subscribe for more Blitz the Blender content in the future. I'm Josh Blender. I make NFL and college videos every week, getting you set and ready. I think at the end of the day, we all enjoy this sport. We have so much passion, enthusiasm for it. So let's all enjoy what's going to be a spectacular game this upcoming Sunday. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more in the future, and I'll see you next time.